What's up, guys? It's Yandre here, and I'm excited because today I want to talk to you about brand awareness, right? How do you actually build brand awareness as a small to medium sized company? How do you go about it? How do you spend your money? If you're not Coca-Cola and F&B, what do? You want to build a brand. You're brand new. How do you go about building a brand that people understand? Because that's the most important thing. People sometimes see a logo and a message, but they don't necessarily know what you do. Um, so that's what we're going to chat about today. I'm really excited about this. But first, let's just check out what brand awareness is really. What is it? What is brand awareness at the end of the day? And Wikipedia would tell us it's an extent to which consumers are familiar with the qualities or image of a particular brand of goods or services. Okay? So, I'm going to read that again. The extent to which consumers are familiar with the qualities. So, it's not just understanding the logo and seeing the logo. They're familiar with your qualities as a brand or a company, or familiar with the image of what you portray, and then obviously they understand the particular brand, your brand, and the goods and services that you sell. So it's not just about seeing a logo all the time. Brand awareness is actually about understanding what your company does. That is essential. And we live in a time where it's so super noisy. You know, our memory sucks as individuals, like as people, as human race, our memory just sucks. Everybody's got ADHD because um, or ADD. I don't know what you actually call it, which one is right, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know. One of them means that we can't pay attention for long periods of time, and at the end of the day, that's what's currently happening. We see so many ads. I think the average individual sees 4,000 ads on a daily basis. Now, ask yourself, how many times have you driven on the highway and you've seen a billboard and you've remembered the creative of that billboard when you got home and you're like, damn, that was a good billboard. That was a very pleasant experience. I drove past and really kind of enjoyed it. I mean, does that ever happen? How many times do you scroll through your news feed and what ads did you see in your news feed on Facebook yesterday and Instagram yesterday? Yeah, exactly. So chances are you probably didn't see anything, or you saw a lot, but you can't remember anything. So how does one achieve brand awareness? This is now, I don't know, this is not what the gurus are saying. This is not what Wikipedia is saying. This is what Yandre De Beer is saying. This is what I'm saying. This is what we're preaching to our small to medium sized clients. And the first thing is repetition. You have to constantly repeat what you obviously stand for. And you have to ensure, you have to repeat the logo, you have to repeat the colors, the image, the goods, and the services. Right? This is what we chatted about here. Repeat the qualities, repeat the image, repeat the brand, repeat the goods and the services that you're trying to sell. And then the second thing is consistent. Be consistent. Because you can repeat you can repeat a message, so you can continuously run, for example, Facebook ads, or let's go more traditional, TV ads if you had the budget. But if you're not consistent with the qualities of your brand and your goods and services, if you're not clearly explaining this consistently, how the hell are people supposed to remember what you do and what you sell? So it's important to repeat, and it's important to be. I can't talk today. I don't know what the hell's happening. It's important to repeat what you're trying to do, and it's important to be consistent with your message as a brand. I can go to gym every morning, repeatedly every morning. I can repeat the same habit, but I might not be consistent with my way of training. Okay? So keep that in mind. As a brand, you have to constantly put your brand out there, but you have to be consistent with your brand message. And then lastly, this is specifically for small to medium sized businesses, and it's intelligent targeting. This is how small to medium sized businesses with smaller budgets build brand awareness. Intelligent targeting. So we'll obviously chat about all these three. We're going to start with repetition. Keep this in mind. the chances of someone seeing your brand for the first time and remembering it are little to none. Don't be naive, guys, please. Don't think you're going to start a company, or if you're currently a small to medium sized business owner, don't think that everybody knows who your company is and what you guys are all about. Okay? And I'm going to explain this a little bit in depth just now, but the chances of someone seeing your brand for the first time and remembering what you are all about, it's like a snowball's chance in hell, really. And I wish more people would understand this. Let's pretend you're a brand new company and you launched today, and someone drives past, let's say, for example, you hired a billboard on the highway, brand new company. You put your logo and your colors, or your logo and your message or anything on a billboard. This is what someone is going to see for the first time. I mean, even ask yourself, how many times did you have to actually see a name of a brand, a product or a service or whatever, an ad of a brand, before you actually comprehended what they're trying to do or sell or what they're all about? So this is how someone sees your brand and logo for the first couple of times they drive past it or they scroll in their new Facebook newsfeed. This is probably what they see. And I've got the research to back this up. Scientists will tell you this is exactly what happens because of the human mind. We can't pay attention to 4,000 ads. So we just skim past it. So if you skim past something, you don't see it properly. And that's probably how you would see it. Only after like a couple of times, you go, oh, cool, it's an M. That's cool. I don't really know what it stands for, but I can see it's an M. And then after 6 or 7 times, you go, oh, I think it says McDonald's. Oh, I've seen it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that exact. You drive past the restaurant or the fast food chain, and oh yeah, I've seen that logo on my newsfeed. There was an ad about it. I think they sell burgers. Damn straight they sell burgers. Finally, you realize what they actually do. After like a couple of weeks or even months after them repeatedly showing you their logo and consistently telling you what they're selling. And that's just how life works. This is just the fact. This doesn't change. It doesn't mean you're going to come up with the best brand in the world and the best colorful logo. The only thing you're going to do is you might just shorten the time from seeing it for the first time and understanding what you're doing. But the chances of someone actually knowing exactly what you're trying to do and who you sell, and it's just too much to take in 2 or 3 or 4 seconds. And that's the only amount of attention that you have with someone if they skim past your billboard or Facebook ad or whatever the case may be. So this is the main reason why repetition is so important. It's the key to building brand awareness. Consistency. Let's chat about that quickly. Obviously, it's essential to be consistent with your branding, and here's why. Okay? You can repeat something, but you have to be consistent, because here's why. This is how our memory works. Okay? So I'm saying okay a lot. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop now. Okay. So this is how our memory works. If I asked you, what did you have for breakfast today or for lunch, the chances are 10 out of 10 times, 100% of the time, you're going to be able to tell me. If I had to ask you what you had yesterday, I don't know. Depending on how busy your day was, you might not actually remember. 50-50 maybe. And then after 3 days, if I asked you today, what did you have for breakfast 3 days ago? If it's a habit and you always eat the same thing, that's cool. What did you have for dinner? Do you know? What did you have for lunch? What did you have as a snack? Do you, by any chance, remember? Chances are, you fall into this category. Max 25% out of the time you'll actually remember, or 20%, 20% of the time you might remember. So it's between, I would say, 20-25% of the time that people would actually remember something after 3 days, especially an ad. Like, really? Who remembers ads? So now, after 4 days, obviously it gets less. After 5, 6, 7 days, there's almost nothing. There's no, I would say, memory in there. There's not a glimpse of memory. I don't know how to say that. there's literally no way that they potentially remember what your brand or your logo or what it stood for, what you were trying to achieve at the end of the day as a message. There's no way that they would have remembered it after seeing a billboard or a Facebook ad, or it doesn't matter if it's digital marketing or traditional marketing, they probably won't remember after the first time. That's just how our memory works. And this is the key. This is why it's so important to be consistent. Consistency is the key here. Now, if you're an APSA, if you're not an APSA or a Coca-Cola or an F&B, if you do not have these millions to spend on billboards, radio ads, TV ads, and you can actually afford, to be so well, I would say, presented all over the country, all over your market, what do you actually do? And this takes us to step number 3, or the third thing that I believe is the key to building brand awareness, is intelligent targeting. You need to be smart with who you're trying to reach, because the chances are you can't afford to reach everybody. So if you're trying to spend your money wisely, make sure you target the right people, and you're repetitive and you're consistent with your brand message to the audience that's actually closest to your niche and brand and product and service, people that might actually want it right now, and not just as like, that's a good to know. Maybe if I'm sitting around a braai with a friend, I can tell him. No, if you've got a limited budget, it's essential that you spend it on the right people. Don't take a shotgun approach. Target the right people that might be interested in your brand or product. And this is the nice thing about digital marketing, because it actually allows you to pinpoint the specific individual you're trying to target. So this is the shotgun approach, right? We've got the massive circle. We've got all these blue dots. Now, each dot represents 10,000 people. Let's pretend there are 100 dots. I didn't actually count, so don't waste your time. This is equivalent to 1 million people. Okay? And if you take a shotgun approach, and you're one of those companies that are a little bit naive on how people's memory actually works, or how the memory of a human being actually works, then you would ideally want to try and target everybody. Like, let's just tell everybody our brand, product, and service, and I'm confident, someone will reach out to us. Nope, doesn't necessarily work like that, but we'll get to that. Let's, for example, say now that your CPM, which is your cost per mile, and a cost per mile is what it's actually going to cost you to reach or show your ad 1,000 times. So let's pretend now that each time would be to a new person or a new individual. Okay? It's going to cost you 50 Rand to show your ad to 1,000 people. That means if your budget is 50,000 Rand, you can reach 1 million people. It sounds very attractive. I mean, it doesn't sound like a bad deal. I can reach 1 million people and tell them about my brand? Yeah, so let's do it. Or keep in mind, before you do it, that each person out of this 1 million people would have seen your ad only once, and they will probably forget about it after 2 or 3 days. So now, are you willing to spend 50,000 Rand to show your brand to people only once, if they might forget already about the brand or product or service, about your message, brand, product, or service after 3 days? Do you want to take that chance? Because this is what's happening. If you're targeting a broad audience with a limited budget, it's all good and well, but the chances are most people will just forget about it, and you didn't actually necessarily get the chance to clearly, because this is what we said now. How often do you see a brand logo for the first time, or a brand message for the first time, and clearly understand and be like, oh yeah, I need to contact these guys tomorrow? Doesn't happen. It happens over time, after building a brand, credibility, and trust. It doesn't happen with one ad. Now, there's an alternative here. This is what I said is the intelligent approach. If you had 50,000 Rand, one, you can show it to 1 million people and hope that the ad is so great that someone picks up the phone and phones you. Or you can be a little bit more conservative with your targeting, but you can pinpoint exactly who you're trying to target. The people closest to your brand and niche. Okay? So for example, if you're a health and fitness company, instead of trying to reach every single person interested in health and fitness, you can rather focus on people interested in specifically running, specifically CrossFit, specifically bodybuilding, specifically weight loss, whatever your, you know, product or service, whatever issue it solves within those niches. So what would happen now is, yeah, your audience is a lot smaller, sitting with 200,000 people, 20 dots, if you will. But for 50 Rand, you are still going to reach only 1,000 people. But now with 50,000 Rand, you can show your ad 5 times to these people that are actually desperately in need for your solution. Are things falling in place for you guys? Are you starting to understand, what you can actually do with digital marketing and how you can actually, in a smart way, build a brand for yourself in a specific niche, as opposed to trying to set up a billboard and trying to target everyone? And remember, keep in mind, this is specifically for companies with limited budgets who are not well known. Okay, so you will, I don't know, I'm going to stop saying that again, I'm sorry. So you can reach 200,000 people with 10 grand. This means if you had 50K, each person will see your ad 5 times. 5 times, guys. So for 10,000 Rand, you'd have reached 200,000 people. This is what we just said. People who are closer to your niche and brand. That means with 50,000 Rand, each person can see your brand and message for 5 times compared to a less relevant audience only seeing it once. And because you're staying top of mind now, they end up better understanding your product and service. You start building credibility and trust, which I probably didn't put in there. I forgot about it. But you're also articulating the message and the product and the services that you sell. And this is what's going to happen when you target a small audience with a limited budget. You obviously can now tweak the ad to specifically speak to them. So for example, running, you can sell, maybe a running video on the best techniques on how to actually run. Stupid example, I know, but hear me out. As opposed to targeting everybody, that's what you do. And you target your runners, 200,000 people. You show them the ad. They might forget about it after 3 or 4 days, but they see it again. And then they might start forgetting about it, and then they see it again. And you'll slowly see that this time frame, after 3 or 4 days, this is now going to start becoming 75% or 60% after 3 or 4 days. After like 4 or 5 times, the chances of them remembering the ad after 3 days would actually be a lot higher, which I didn't put in here. But it'll start these. Can I move this up? No, I'm not going to do it now. But ideally, this will actually be a little bit higher, and the next time it will be higher, and the next time it will be higher than the previous time. So your ad is shown again just before they forget about you. You stay top of mind, and they start learning about your product and service and offering and solutions. And that's what you can do with a smaller budget. Be clever about it. Rather target people, who are closer to your end solution. And this is what's going to happen. In turn, this is going to help you build stronger brand awareness, which is ideally what you want to do. Stay top of mind all the time, because with the same budget, the right people are seeing you ad 5 times, as opposed to a broad audience only seeing it once and forgetting about it after 3 days. Creating a stronger connection with the audience, because you can now start articulating after the third or fourth time. You can maybe show a different ad and be like, hey, this is one unique selling point of the video. Did you know that this guy improved his running time by 5 minutes on a 5K because he just tweaked his running style that had made him burn less energy and less focus. So therefore, I don't know. It's a unique angle, and starts convincing the end user that it's actually maybe a video that they need to buy or download, or a course, or whatever the case may be. Financial solution, financial services solutions, could literally be anything. It just creates a stronger connection with your audience now, and eventually it will lower your cost per acquisition, because if you're building a stronger brand and people start to take notice of you, then ideally over time that lowers your CPL, your cost per lead. If nobody knows about you, the cost per lead is usually higher. The more people know about you, slowly but surely the cost per lead starts dropping. And I'll dig into that science maybe in a later video. But that's the end of my presentation. I just wanted to share, the brand building strategy with you guys for smaller to medium-sized businesses, instead of trying to, spray and pray. Be specific with who you're trying to target, and be repetitive, be consistent, and So through intelligent targeting, repetition, and consistency, you can actually build a strong brand for yourself as a small to medium sized business and drop your overall lead cost. And I'm pretty confident this is a strategy that any business can copy and paste, and it might actually start making a difference in the next 6 to 12 months. So that's all from me today. I hope you guys found some value out of this. And yeah, that's all from my side. All the best. And I'll chat to you guys soon.